Y'all ain't Misty.
She's playing hooky.
Hey, everybody. Whole, 17, 18 of you right now. And hello to everybody in chat. By the way, Eric Henlin. Yeah, funny fucker. I saw his comment right off the get-go. Anyway, hey, y'all. How is everybody doing? Squirrel is not here today. She's AWOL. Her and the family went camping, and they're on the way back right now. So they can't really, they're going in and out. So she can't really jump on here with us, but she'll catch up to it eventually. If we just run this show for 3.5 hours like I'm known to do, we might go long enough to where she gets back on here. And we had a little bit of technical difficulty getting everything started, mostly because Mark doesn't know how to operate Windows on a laptop.
Oh, man. Well, that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Greg is squirrel.
Oh, easy. I can't fill in shoes. I can't climb trees. Now, my one-track mind may derail. You can call me the locomotive or something.
Do you go out in the yard and pick leaves and grass and just start munching on them?
No doubt. I don't have the superpower of tearing up every kind of yard tool that I lay my hands on.
Right. I do, but I don't have the superpower of going back in and fixing it.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure she does either. I think she's starting to scrap yard of lawnmowers and tillers and everything else.
She needs to start a damn junkyard there, a salvage yard at her house.
But now, in all fairness, y'all got to admit with me, y'all got to agree with me. Squirrel's the type of person I could see blowing out her birthday candles with a leaf blower.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that would break.
Yeah.
Well, hey, so I got y'all on here today because, well, number one, because I need somebody to talk to because my ass will prattle on aimlessly for an hour if I'm left unsupervised. But also, it seems like for whatever reason, and I brought this up either in the past show or the show before, it seems like the springtime and the summertime, y'all are getting a lot of activity down there. But again, it's not so many people that get on Bigfoot shows. Everything is like these grandiose encounters. And I think, in my personal opinion, the reality of it is more like it doesn't happen very often. And you got to kind of be paying attention to it. Because, I mean, if you get a rock thrown at you, that's pretty significant in the Bigfoot world if you understand that, hey, that possibly is a booger doing it. You know, if you're out there fishing at 1 a.m. and get a giant rock thrown at you out of nowhere that lands in the middle of the creek and it's the size of a bowling ball, that's pretty significant, right? So I think a lot of the stuff that y'all have had happen, even though it's not like huge grand encounters where they come up and trying to get in your cabin and all that kind of stuff, it's still stuff that's happening, and I think people ought to be aware of it. I mean, Mark has talked to how many people now in the past couple months, Mark?
6 or 7.
Yeah. Of stuff that's going on. And Greg, you've had a couple things happen right there at the man cave. Have you heard? Has anybody else said anything like in your area? Anybody else that you've talked to?
I hadn't had anybody that's had just a super duper encounter, here lately, but I've been working so much. I hadn't really talked to many people, but I just reach out. But Alan was over here, he comes in from Birmingham, usually about every other weekend or something like that. And
if I did, you'd know it.
No, yeah. Well, she ain't been banished yet. She's on probation.
She's close. She's on strike. She's on strike 2.98.
No doubt. But no, I hadn't had anybody just come out and, talk about no major encounter. But Alan come in the other day, and he had that one. He went out here and used the restroom and had one whistle at him. And it was, the way he talked, it was within 20 yards of the end of the porch. And he was just right in the edge of the woods. and he was out there peeing off the porch. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere, but I went to the restroom and he went outside. And when I come out of the restroom, he's like, our buddy's here. I was like, what? He said, yes. I said, I went out there taking a leak, and he said, man, it was just right here at the end, just at the end of the house. He said, just barely in the woods. He said it whistled loud, and it was just a monotone whistle. And he said, just as soon as it quit whistling, just a few seconds, back down toward the river, which the river's only like around 200 feet, just down this slope. And he said, sound like right down at the riverbank, he heard another whistle. And he said, just that whistle, it stopped just a few seconds later. And then where he heard the first whistle, he said he heard, bipedal, heavy walking started going down through the woods, going toward that where the second whistle was. So that was the last thing, and that was last weekend.
Now, I've seen the layout of your land before. You showed me on a video call. But for other people that like don't realize where your man cave is, where you're at right now, can you kind of describe your location where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm close to I'm close to a U.S. highway, but the thing about it, the nearest houses are over a mile in each direction. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle of. It's a bunch of government land, and then it's timber company land that joins my property, and I've got 4.5 acres on the river, and I've got 700, a little over 770 feet. I think it's like 777 of waterfront. But I just got 4.5 acres here. But I got my man cave, and then I've got another mobile home over here. One of my brothers sold his house where he lived, and they're waiting on the economy to get better. And I told him, I said, I've got an empty mobile home. Why don't you and my sister-in-law, y'all just move in it and stay? I said, wait on the economy to get better, and then maybe you can afford to build a house. Well, I mean, he could. He's just trying to save a pile of money. Let's put it that way, because they made real good money on the house they sold. But anyway, he's staying in it. And then there's the only other person here. I got a neighbor that lives kind of on the land, like 3 sides around him, and he's full-time resident. But it's just him and his wife and his son or 2 sons and a daughter-in-law. But they live in a double wide right here, about 200 feet from me. But there's no houses close, and we're right on the edge of this river. And this river feeds right through. I'm talking, when I say through the heart of the forest, it's through the heart of the forest. I mean, I can take a canoe or a john boat and put in right here, and I can go north up that river. It's the next road, the next bridge, the next place that you can really kind of public access to this river, other than walking just miles through the woods, is going to be probably 12 miles. And then after you cross that road, it's the way the river goes, it's probably 12 miles. And then after you go under that one access bridge, you got another probably 10 miles to the next kind of access that you can get to it. And it's right up in the very center, near the center heart of this forest. And you're talking, I think it's 290 something thousand acres.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of on the edge, protruding into the forest, and I'm right here, I'm right here on it.
Right.
But yeah, we got like I said, we got gobs of woods. We got a lot of hardwoods, pines, hardwood, just a mixture of timber. And then it's, this is feeding into a massive lake. The lake I'm on has got over 500 miles of waterfront. I mean, if you started on one bank at the dam, if you started on the south side and you actually physically walk the bank and come all the way around back to the dam, it was over 500 miles. That's how big the lake is. So now the lake's pretty populated. I mean, it's grown, houses built and all that. But where I'm at, not so much. If I go south on the river, it's probably 5 miles by water to the next land or there's a house. So I mean, there's no houses right here by me. It's just kind of in the middle of nowhere, even though it's 150 yards to a 2-lane paved U.S. highway. But I'm just kind of in the middle where there's a dead zone where there's nobody.
Right. And a lot of the activity you've had there at the man cave anyway has come from generally the same like direction back behind you going towards the water, right?
Oh, yeah. Most of it when they come up, it's what we figured out when they come up or when they leave, it'll be from toward the river.
Right. Before we go any further, Joe Pass, I will kick your ass off this channel, never to be on here again, Mr. White Sauce. Thank you very much for the t-shirt, Joe. The t-shirt. I just haven't watched it yet. It's a great t-shirt. Your comments, not so much. Oh, and before I forget about it, let me just go ahead and tell y'all, this is William Lunsford's book. Hope you can see that without too much glare. Searching for the Unfindable. This thing it's pretty easy reading. There are colored photos in here. A lot of description of his encounters and everything. And Will's a friend of mine, and he's a good guy, and I like him. So I'm going to tell y'all, this book is worth purchasing and reading. It's up to you whether you do or not, but I like it. It's a good book. And I've read a lot of really crappy Bigfoot books. This is not one of them. This is actually, Will's been researching for, I don't even know how long, many decades. And he talks a lot about his techniques and what he does and everything. And to me, it's a really good book on Bigfoot compared to a lot of the other ones that are out there. But that's just my opinion.
I wonder, Spencer, is the only place you can get that ordered online at any bookstores or what?
I got it from him. I paid him because the link that he originally told me about, it didn't go anywhere. The link was bad.
Yeah.
So he asked me about it, and I just bought it straight from him. But I know that you can get it on Amazon, I think he said, and whoever the publisher is. But also, if you just look up Will on Facebook, super nice guy. He's happy to talk to you. He'll send you a copy, I reckon, if he's got more in there.
Well, that's what I'll do. I've been friends with him on Facebook for a pretty long time. I'd like to have one, get it autographed. I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he would do that. He autographed mine.
To my mentally handicapped buddy.
He said,
"Where your helmet? Quit licking windows."
Yeah, he said, "Don't eat the damn book, moron."
No. He wrote that in crayon, didn't he?
Just so I would sniff at it.
Yeah.
So, Mark, now you've had a ton of crazy stuff, and I know you've gone over some of it on your channel and everything, but do you mind going over some of the stuff that's happened in your neck of the woods here in the past few months?
Yeah. Well, prior
Shut up, Michael. You're on the short list too.
Prior going to Kentucky, there was a few little things that went on, but that wasn't, I don't call them, I got a call from a guy telling me he was hearing some stuff, and, I didn't really get to go get involved with much like I wanted to. And, but after I got back from Kentucky, it seemed like stuff just started bam, 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 just like that. Received a message from a guy about seeing a, Dogman looking thing up in Lincoln, Alabama. I rode through that area, checked it out. It's right on the edge of the Coosa River. A lot of wooded area, but also homes in there scattered out. So got to looking at it a little deeper to see if there's a way they could come in and out without really people, seeing them much. And they have a good route to come right in there. And then across the river, there's a big waterway, so they could swim the river get over into a bunch of other woods. So that place, I could see having something maybe coming back through there. And there is other reports over the years of people seeing Bigfoot in that area. So it may be a travel route for a certain time of the year. I don't know. Or it may be one pretty much stays in there because there's a lot of water, a lot of swampy land. Like I said, a lot of big woods, big major creek, not too far away. It comes all the way from Talladega National Forest. So I could see that. I could see something coming into that area, using that area. Farmland, cattle farms close around. So I could see that. Now here at the house, one of my neighbors let me know through another neighbor that this lady had seen something in her yard one night about 11 o'clock. This older lady went out to smoke a cigarette on her doorsteps. She had been sitting. There's a street light off to her left but it's one of those yellow lights that don't put out a whole, if you've been around the yellow street lights, they don't put out a ton of light.
Mm-hmm.
And she noticed what she thought was a big dog walking up into her yard down toward where her driveway meets the road that comes up through there. And this is a dead end road. She called the dog. She said, "Hey, Poochie, come here, Poochie." And if you heard it, I had it on my video, but she started calling it because that's what she thought it was for a minute. It was just a big old shaggy dog. And then she said, "That ain't no dog." She said, "That's a bear." And about that time, it turned and looked right at her. And that's when it freaked her out. She seen the face because the way the face turned, the light from the street light in the neighbor's yard kind of hit it. So, and she described it as having a white looking face. It was white hair around it. Of course, that scares the devil out of her. She starts getting up, getting ready to get back in her house. And that's when it stands up on two legs, turns around, walks right across the road. And I asked her, I said, "It got up and walked off on two legs?" She said, "Yes, sir." And then as I done the little short video with her. And then after I got off doing the video, we went to talking about other stuff. And when I get to go finish this with her, and the other neighbors had some more stuff happen, I'm going to get her to talk about the other stuff. But I come to find out they've been beating on her trailer. They come around to where her bedroom is. She's heard the whoops. She's heard whistles. Several times she's got the smells. It was like a week later after she seen that figure in the yard, she let the dog back out one night to go use the restroom. She said she watched, and on the other side of her is another neighbor who is not there much. I think they work out of town or something, so they're not there a whole lot. And their lot is kind of very dark. And they have a well house out there. And, as we hear in the South say, pump house. But she watched the dog going toward the pump house. And it's all of a sudden like the dog hit a wall. And the dog went to coughing and sneezing and, fighting at its face and turned around and come to her. And she didn't know what was going on. And then when the dog got to her, she could smell the dog. And it wasn't a skunk. She said it was not a skunk smell. She said this was something that she couldn't really describe. And she said it just rank, and that's when she told me that that's the smells that she'd been smelling at times at night.
Right.
And so I think, in my opinion, what he was doing, the next door neighbors were keeping dogs on the front porch. And the next door neighbor confirmed that they had been having dogs going missing.
Right.
and they thought something was getting it. And in fact, one night they found the whole tub tore up and everything. They had to put it in a new tub. I did tell that lady, I said, you probably need to put the dog food back up in the house and just feed your dogs, during the day, and at nighttime, don't leave no feed out there. I think the booger, in my opinion, had done found a little food source that was easy to get to, and coming up there at time getting that dog food.
And it also kind of points to, if it was a booger, kind of points to them being able to produce that scent cloud willingly, like whenever they want to, like they can control it. Mark, who you got sitting with you?
It's my son, Jonathan.
John, welcome to the show. Thanks for doing it with your dad. Gives us somebody else to look at and listen to instead of him.
Yeah, the rest of us is about to ugly everybody down. So
yeah. Normally we have Misty on here for eye candy, so sorry, you're gonna have to be the good looking one today, John.
Yeah.
Now, what are you doing? Are you down there in Alabama just like during summer because school's out now?
I'm actually graduated now, so I'm just coming down for this summer, just kind of see my dad for a while.
Right. Yeah. Well, congrats on graduation. Now, I hate to jump right into it without any segue, but before we got on, you started to say that you saw something up there, and I was thinking you were going to say possibly a Bigfoot, because Ohio does have a high amount of activity reported and everything. And then you just blew my mind. So go ahead. We didn't talk about it backstage because I wanted to save it for this so everybody could hear.
He didn't blow your mind. He traumatized you.
No, the Dogman thing. Well, the Dogman thing is just as bad. Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's pick up there if you don't mind, John. Do you mind talking about it a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Where were you? What were you doing? How did it happen? Just walk us through it. What happened?
All right. Yeah. So it was pretty I used to live in a town up there called Marysville, and Marysville was kind of off of Columbus. It's a big farming town, I think. And they also have Honda down there, and it's pretty wood area. And then outside of that wooded area is just a bunch of farmland. It's just farmland for miles and miles. And so whenever this happened, I was in middle school and lived there, and I was inside my house. I was just kind of doing my thing. And, I used to play video games pretty far into the night, up towards 4 a.m. I'd keep playing. But, I would go out and I would eat snacks or whatever, use the restroom, come back, play video games again. And one night I got up and went to get some water. And I was in my kitchen, and my kitchen faces since the house was in a suburb, and so surrounding it is a bunch of other houses, but my backyard is kind of it went down into a little steep incline, and it's kind of swampy through there, and then back behind that it's just a bunch of woods. So I was in my kitchen and I looked out there and I just see this kind of figure, and I go over to the window to kind of get a better look at it. At first I thought it was probably just some dude, because it's a suburb, and even if it's at night, some people still go walk their dog or just go for a walk or whatever. So I kind of get closer. As I get closer, I kind of notice that it looks pretty weird, and at this point, I'm kind of getting a little nervous, I guess, about it, because it's weird because there's not a lot of people around at night, even if there are some night walkers, and my backyard is kind of the weirdest place. So I'm kind of getting closer, and I never really got too amazing good look at it, but I could tell that it was pretty tall. It had some freakishly long arms, and it had kind of I could think some sort of hair up here that was pretty large. But I mean, this is a huge thing, and as I looked at it, I could kind of tell that it was kind of looking around, and I felt it looked at me, and then kind of walked away. And later, the next day I went out and like kind of checked around. I can like find anything, but that's pretty much my experience of that.
Can you, in the best detail you can, go over the physical description of it? Now,
Yeah.
this is late at night. What time at night is this? Like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, something?
I think about like 2, 3, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Okay, and you're standing in your kitchen looking out the window. Is
Yeah.
that right? So, how far away was it?
I think like 40, 30 feet, somewhere in there.
So, pretty close then.
Yeah, it
Okay.
wasn't too far away.
So, and before you describe it physically, did you know you didn't see anything like glowing red eyes or anything like that, did you?
No, I didn't see any of that. No.
Okay.
So what I did see is I could tell that like it had like kind of matted like that, like that's one of the big things I noticed, and it kind of looks a little bit patchy. And I noticed like especially like around its head, like there was like less hair until you got up to like here. Because what I was mostly seeing was like the silhouette, right? So
Right.
I tell that like if you ever like seen like shadow like of a hair, you notice how you can kind of just pretty much tell like where it's skin and where it's hair. I noticed like it was patchy until you like got up to like the head area. Then it was kind of full. But as far as physical features, I noticed it had the really long arms and it was like really tall. It was bipedal, so it stood on 2 legs, but it was kind of like hunched over. I feel like. I didn't get a good look at like kind of like its head, but I felt like it kind of had a flatter face. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Now, you said I asked you. Well, your dad actually brought it up about. You didn't think it was a Bigfoot though. You didn't think it was a booger.
I don't think it's a Bigfoot now.
What do you think it was?
I'm thinking I have a few theories, ranging from like some sort of like unique thing all the way up to like a Wendigo. Main reason I thinking Wendigo is like I've talked to like a few other friends around in that area, and they have told me that there's like some Wendigo around there. Now I don't know 100% if it is, because it is a little bit too far south for a Wendigo, and it didn't have exactly like that deer look to it, but the like the long arms and the kind of like really tall stature kind of gave me like a Wendigo vibe.
My question is, how long did it take you to get the gun safe open, and what caliber did you go get?
Right.
I didn't do much. I was inside, so I just decided to just leave it alone. I wasn't gonna go outside my.
You don't say.
Yeah.
And the next day, when you looked up in there, you didn't find any kind of sign.
No, none. Like you would expect, like to find maybe like a tracks or something, especially if it's swampy. There's like a lot of mud. Absolutely nothing. Like there was nothing there. It was crazy.
How long did you think you saw it?
Probably about like a minute.
About a minute.
Yeah, not too long. Because by the time it pretty much was already heading its way out.
And then after that, nothing else. Like you never saw it again. There were no. I'll tell you something. If you're not like really into the Bigfoot subject, a lot of people might not understand that we base a lot of stuff off of like repeat things that people bring up over and over again. And one of the things that people bring up with boogers over and over again is a strong sense of feeling like you're being watched, feeling like you're being paralleled, something walking along with you as you're going in and out of the woods or whatnot, typically. And also, and in my mind, this is a even more bigger tale, is the creepy feels. And I know that term is just scientific as all hell, but the creepy feels, which is, hey, if these things truly are, if they are giving off a vibe of being, the biggest, baddest predator out there, that explains a lot of stuff. Like whenever people talk about how, the woods just went quiet. No critters, no insects, none of that. But the creepy feels is more than that. Like literally you get this. In my experience, the only time I can really associate with it, it felt like almost like a static electricity in the air. Like the hair wants to stand up on your neck and arms, and just you could physically, tangibly feel it in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get any of that afterwards or before? You never had the real, oh, my chair is falling.
Yeah, I've pretty much had those feelings like my entire life, especially if I'm like by myself off the woods, and like especially at that like kind of like hell, and the one I lived in like right before it, which was the same like town, but just like
Right.
I would get those feelings like all the time. I walk home from school a lot, and like our path, we would sometimes just take like a shortcut through the woods, and like especially on that little like shortcut, yeah, I was kind of nervous and uncomfortable, and that like kind of feeling like, like that there was some like watching me. Definitely had that.
Yeah.
Didn't you say you had seen something over close to y'all one time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What area was that in? What town was it close to?
Marysville.
Marysville.
Yeah.
Marysville is kind of northwest of Columbus.
Yeah.
About 20 miles away. It's there are reports from that area of Bigfoot. I've looked at reports to say there are some Bigfoot.
It's Ohio. There are reports of Bigfoot everywhere up there.
That's true.
Yeah, there's right there in downtown Columbus. I've seen.
Are you serious?
Yeah, right there on Long River there in Columbus.
No, yeah, Bigfoot are known to not just be stuck in the woods.
Yeah, they like. I'm going to say this. I know this is going out of land, but I think people going to start seeing towns more and more.
Yeah, I think encroachment and just stuff getting built up. I think it's pushing a lot of stuff. And the way you're having interaction is you got to have them, but you got to have people there to see them and then be in the same place. But I'm sitting here on my phone. That's why I keep looking down. It makes me feel
what I'm doing.
It makes me feel better that it's 547 miles from here to there. Yeah, it's making me feel better. They keep that stuff up there,
we need to tell Eric and Kane about it because it looks
Eric
like
Kane, y'all keep my part of that up there.
Well, he did tell Eric about it when we ate lunch with Eric last Saturday.
Oh, you did?
He did tell Eric about it. Yes, he did.
Wow.
Because it looks like it's only, I don't know, 40, 50 miles as the crow flies from Hocking Hills area, which is loaded. And I mean, so who knows, man? Who knows?
Have you been over there, Spencer? Have you done any research over at Hocking Hills?
No.
You ain't going down
online.
Are
you serious? After Eric and Kane come and show me some pictures, and they're like, we're pretty sure this is legitimate, like Dogman stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to put words in their mouth, but that was my takeaway from it, what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And some of the tracks that they found, but some of the pictures, I don't even want to go into the pictures, y'all. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. You can write them and get them to disclose it if they want to. All I'm saying is, if whatever I saw the picture of, if that's a thing that's up there in Hocking Hill, my narrow ass is staying here for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Well, them Hocking Hills is very pretty, and they reminded me of a lot of parts of Alabama, like Bankhead and Talladega National Forest. They have that same feel to them. They're kind of that hilly land with hardwoods. Now, they didn't have as much pine trees as we have down here, of course. They had a lot of hemlock.
Yeah, a lot of hemlock, yeah.
Yeah, so when me and him went walking in the Hocking Hill State Park, very beautiful woods. Something could live in there very easily. There's a lot of thick places, a lot of trees down. So stuff, could crawl up under them trees.
Are you talking about the Wendigo thing, Joe? Because he described it. He described it. Are you talking? Oh, you're talking about the picture of the Dogman? No, we're not talking. We're not talking about that.
Of course, the Hocking Hills touches Wayne National Forest, which is over toward West Virginia side, and on the other side of Hocking Hills, you got the I think it's the Tar Hill or something.
Yeah.
State Park, which is a big area. And that place around, when you cross the Ohio River, that's Cincinnati, and once you get through Cincinnati on 71 heading toward Columbus, there's that area is very hilly right before you get to the farmland. Once you get to the farmland, there's not many towns through there. It's all gigantic farms, but there's woodlots in between a lot of the farms, and so I can see.
You don't want to know
where stuff is. I can see that state holding a lot of stuff. It's a big old state too. So
I went hiking down in the Hocking Hills a lot. Like me and my friend have, and I mean, you're not really supposed to, but I've gone off the track. I mean, there's like caves, like tons of caves through that area too, and there's like a lot of waterways and just kind of like hidden little areas.
So people, I mean, if you're thinking something like that, this is what bothers me, and you're not going. You couldn't hold a gun on me and make me go in them caves, because if I got something like that, odds are that may be where it's at.
Yeah.
And okay, a bad scenario is you're going from the outside in and you run up on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if your ass is in that cave and the thing comes in behind you?
Yeah.
Well, I want to know what your exit plan is going to be. No, I'm out.
You're trapped in there, then.
Yeah, exactly. Nope. I like self. Me and self are close. I don't want nothing to happen to self.
if you really look,
That's right. Well, one more comment. I got my finger on the button.
Haywood's killing it. Haywood's killing it.
Double kick Michael Haywood right out. Be quiet.
It seems like once you get kind of east of the Mississippi, it's kind of like a little line. It kind of just makes that big circle, comes around toward the Appalachians, comes down, dips down into Florida, and then, kind of back up. And then on the western side, seems like from about Missouri down, and it kind of comes down through to Texas. Now, I know, of course, there's other places, but, I mean, you really go look at like a sighting map. And when you look at the eastern United States, I mean, it's just whoop. I mean, there's just about as many sightings as there are out in the Northwest.
Oh yeah.
So
we're talking about boogers, or we're talking about Dogman?
Yeah, I'm talking about boogers now.
Yeah. Shut up, Greg.
Is sightings on the Dogman to go would be. I hadn't really researched that to see.
Mark, I agree a lot. Here's one of my this is my dumb Red Billy thoughts on this.
Y'all keep talking for a second. The my door camera just went off. The baby deer have come back. Y'all want to see baby deer? Hold on.
Well,
let me see if I can snatch one.
We'll stumble along while you're vacating.
You keep talking.
But anyway, here's just a thought, and this is just dumb Red Billy thinking by us, me and you being here in Alabama. You see a lot of these maps, and if you'll notice, back up 10 years ago, some of the sighting maps, and it had a lot, there was a lot in the Pacific Northwest. Well, then you've got to me, it's like once you get this side of the Rockies a few hundred miles, the sightings like this, it's like you draw a line, and they're real sparse. And like you said, do you get on down to Texas, Arkansas, and then, like you said, it's skirting up through, like to the Great Lakes. And then the more you get down where we're at, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Virginia, up to Ohio, but really kind of like where we're at in the main, what I call in Dixie down here, you're seeing like the sightings are exploding. And it's not just sightings that's happened in the last 10 years. But it's people are finally coming forth and talking about stuff that happened years ago. And if you'll look at the maps, look at there. Thing looks just like you, Spencer.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hey, they'll start calling him daddy. He's been feeding them.
You're right. You're right. But if you'll notice, you'll see on these maps that the little dots that's got them marked in the area where they've happened, the maps filling up and getting more concentrated because people they're coming out. Where I think like the Pacific Northwest, people were a lot more open to it. And for a long time, they've been letting it be put on the map and they're talking about it. We're down here, you know how it is. People, if they don't know you, they don't trust you. I mean, you've got to be kind of in the know, or that you got to know somebody that they know and they vouch for you before most people's going to talk about it. It's been that way. I mean, at least my whole life, and I'm nearly 50. But people, thanks to the internet and people beginning to get out here and talk and share their experiences, it's making people want to come forth and go, well, hey, look, they stepped out. They're still worried about ridicule, but they're stepping out and talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it too. But those maps, man, even like here, I can look on about any map that I can find about sightings, and I'm going to see some on there that I even know the people firsthand, but they finally started showing up and they've shared them on BFRO, stuff like that. But for every one of them dots that I do know about, I know 10 or 12 more that's not on there.
Right.
The sightings that I knew, my God, if it's like that, all these other sightings, y'all, I'll tell you what, I'll bet you for the sightings that's marked, there's another 10 or 20 that's not marked for each one of those that is marked.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it. I mean, like I said, that's one thing that I've noticed a lot is, especially in the Southeast, that map over the last few years, any of those maps that's marking sightings, those things are exploding.
Oh, yeah.
And something to keep in mind is like BFRO doesn't, a lot of the reports do not get on the public report page that everybody gets to look at.
Yeah.
And if you take that in conjunction with what you're saying, there is a lot more sightings out there than what we know about just based on the maps. But I tell you what, the maps do a good job on, especially if you start creating your own map. I've been creating my own map for the past 6 years now, and what I do is I only put the stuff on. Like if I talk to someone that I know, like you, and you tell me about a sighting, I mark it on the map because, to me, in my mind, I know the source, I know where it's coming from, and I know the chances of it being legit are like way up there just because it went through you, right? Now, when I read a lot of the encounters, or if I watch a video on a lot of the encounters, I'm just going to tell you, I'm naturally skeptical with most people posting stuff on Facebook, most of the videos on YouTube. Very few do I go, man, that person really they're hitting all the markers. Sounds legit. And then if I know the area, I put it on a map. So my map is smaller, but it's much more selective. But all the maps out there that are all out there, if you take them with a grain of salt, they do a good job of showing you directionally, like certain parts of the country. I don't know if I would call it, I wouldn't call it travel patterns or movement patterns, but like, for example, in my neck of the woods, because I'm right on beside the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is part of the Appalachians, I can clearly see a line going down.
Before you mention it, let me just take a stab in the dark. I mean, it's going to be a guess, but does any of those that you've put on there, these lines, how closely do they correspond with a watershed or riverway or something?
Yeah, well, but hold on. This is what I've noticed. This is just my personal experience. Nobody, don't take this as fact on Bigfoot.
Yeah.
What I am seeing is over and over again, I am seeing, because I'm concentrating on the Appalachian mountain train.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing them move down the mountain train, which the mountain train itself does not have a ton of water on it because it's a mountain train.
Yeah.
So the elevation is up there. The ponds and lakes and rivers are typically lower from water flow running off of it.
Yeah.
But they heavily, you could almost draw a straight line from New York down to Alabama, where the Appalachian Trail terminates.
Yeah.
You could almost draw a straight line down there. I see activity all over the mountain train. And then dealing with water, wherever large rivers branch off from there, that's where you find what I think of as the straggler. So whenever a river comes off there and goes over 40, 50 miles, and there happens to be a wildlife management area there or a state park there,
yeah,
I think they are moving up and down the mountain train, if they do move up and down the mountain train. But I think they are moving up and down the mountain train to various degrees. And when they branch off, I think they're branching off on the rivers and large tributaries, and especially making their way over to protected land, whether it be a national forest, state forest, wildlife management area, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if I don't want to show it to everybody, but in private, if I could show you, I could make direct correlations with waterways that go from like the main Appalachian Trail over to areas where sightings and everything have occurred. And it definitely, absolutely looks like following waterways.
Yeah. Well, my thoughts too, Spencer, and I'm going to just throw this out here. This is just me.
Yes.
I don't, this stuff that I've kind of picked up on and me dealing with them here. A lot of people have got it in their head that these things are like major nomads, and they're like kind of like geese migrating. They're going from way up north to way down south, back and forth every year, depending on the weather. Okay. With mine here, they may be some here that move, a few miles here, a few miles there. They may, I believe that they may go 30, 40 miles, some of them, but I deal with them year round. Sometimes it's a lot more certain times of the year, and then it's tapers off, but it's like, we don't never go a long time. Like we don't never go a full month without hearing whoops, whistles, tree knocks, screams, roars, yells, something, them slapping on the end of my cabin, stealing something off the porch. It's something pretty much year around that we're having some form of encounter that we know they're here, that we legitimately know, look, they're here. So these that we've got, they're not going far. There's no way. I mean, they're not migrating a long way, but I think the main reason is they're here. They've got a place where they got plenty of food. They got plenty of cover. They got water. They got all these resources. So why would they move? Why? There's no reason for them to go anywhere.
And another point leading into that is, I think, just my personal opinion, I don't think you can treat this subject like whatever is happening with somebody that's in the Adirondacks is probably different than what's happening with somebody in Missouri, Mississippi.
Yes, I mean we're talking about from Ohio, because look at the snow they get in Ohio. They may make them. They get a major snow, and these things are trudging through snow. What if they can go 40, 50 miles and they're not dealing with it? Or
100% my point. If they are saying, like, for example, Alabama has the most diverse ecosystem of any state in the country, between the swamps and the waterways and the different types of terrain. And you sent me that thing on the soil content and everything.
Exactly.
Who's to say that maybe, for all we know, maybe Alabama is just like Bigfoot heaven. It's just like the prime super spot for Bigfoot, right?
Yeah.
If they find an area, Mark's been able to kind of keep up with them for years on the Hunt Club, right, Mark?
I think Mark's got the same thing I've got. He's got some up there that I know Mark's like me. He's not going outside and handing them a pack of tobacco, and they're handing him pine cones. I mean, but Mark, I'll guarantee you, just like I believe these right here, They've seen me go in the woods hundreds and hundreds of times. They put it together. They know my vehicle. They know what I look like. They know where they figured out 100%. They know where my cabin is. I mean, I've had stuff at my house, which is 7 miles away or 7.5 miles. That would be nothing for one to walk in a night, 7 miles. It wouldn't take them an hour. They could range a long way from kind of their main area they're staying.
But that doesn't mean that they're traveling out of the area.
Exactly. You think about something, if it's, it's 8 foot tall and it's taking, one step to R3, well, y'all, it wouldn't take that thing an hour to walk 7 miles. It'd do that in no time. It'd be there in just a little while. I mean, it'd be like us taking a stroll, like he was talking about, through a neighborhood.
And that's if they don't use portals.
Yeah. Look, I'm not saying no portals. I hope I don't. I
haven't seen them. I'm just simply saying that's if they're just a flesh and blood. Look, Mark got tickled on that. That's just a flesh and blood creature. They can still haul ass and cover some distance. But again, covering distance, branching out from a central area does not mean that they're migrating. It doesn't mean that they're leaving the area. For all we know, they go, okay, this week I'm going to go check on this side of the mountain range. And they go over there, and then they come back. Or if they're following a creek or a river, they might be right there at like a campground that's on the river one night. They might be 5 miles over the next night, but that doesn't mean they're not coming back to that campground area. We don't know how they do it. Well, and up north, it is highly possible. I mean, the environment is a lot harsher up north, temperature-wise, early development of plants for food source, all that kind of stuff. It is highly possible that maybe they go 60, 70, 80 miles more south or whatnot at certain time periods of the year. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that they stay gone, and it doesn't mean that they do that all throughout the whole country. If they got a honey hole, why would they leave?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's it. I'm talking with Mark. I think he's pretty much on the same page I am. He's just got resident boogers.
There ain't nobody on the same page you are, but carry on.
I mean, my page has got a lot of crayon drawing on it. But anyway, but like him, I mean, Mark, you have something year round, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't think these boogers on the hunting club leave. They may have a radius they work, just like, buck deers during the rut will work a radius. We've seen the same deer be on camera 9 miles away from another camera.
Right. So you're right.
I think they do. Now, of course, this is theory and opinion, but I think they have a home. Maybe it's their bedding area or where they raise their young. But I think a lot of the juveniles and stuff and some of the females probably get out and make a radius gathering food, because you don't want to destroy your food supply right where you're at. So you got to spread out a little bit and off as you go. But if you got a plentiful food supply, good cover, and good water, and you're not having a whole lot of human activity, and what I mean by a lot of human activity, I don't think they pay hunters that attention. Right. They didn't just that attention on the hunting club. We'd be up there running deer dogs, hunting, and these suckers stayed up there, because I could go right back at night after we deer hunted all day and have stuff happen. So that told me right off the bat, hunting was not affecting them much.
Yeah.
And go to thinking about who sees most of them is hunters.
You're right.
So I don't think the hunters, now they might move a holler or two over during the hunting season. They might go into a little thicker spot. But at nighttime, they know most hunters are not there. Yeah. They're going to step right back out and do their thing. So
yeah.
And I have often wondered, like, if you're talking about, there's a difference between them moving through certain areas with, let's say, a homestead where somebody might have had something strange happen on their property, right? There's a difference between them moving through, at least I'm theorizing that there is. There's a difference between them moving through someone's land like that to get to somewhere else.
Right.
Than there is them actually staying, like staying in a certain location. Even if they only stay and live in a certain location for 3-4 months and then they pick up and move somewhere else and they eventually come back there. Now, I will add this, though. A lot of us speculate that some of the stick structure, the possible manipulations that we're finding, are actually like territorial markers. If they are territorial markers, that would indicate that they are saying, hey, stay away. This is my spot. So this clan has a spot here. Let's say on a hunt club, right, Mark? This clan claims territory on that hunt club. Next thing you know, you see markers around the outer edges. If they moved, if they left, if they rotated, well, if they're saying that a territorial marker, I mean, that would be them communicating with another clan.
Right.
If they left, why wouldn't the other clan take over that spot? You see what I'm saying? So it would incentivize them to have a main area that they keep some of the troop, some of the clan there at all times while the others go out and forage. Now, I don't know, because again, Eric and Kane are pretty freaking good at what they do. And they have documented these things moving in a circular motion, about a 45, 50 mile radius. At least I think I'm saying that right. But anyway, so, I wonder about the differences between like what they're experiencing up there and what a lot of y'all seem to experience down there, because where you are, it really does seem like they just pretty much stay there the whole time. They branch out. Maybe like Mark says, maybe they move over just a little bit during hunting season, taking thicker cover and everything. But it seems like they're pretty much bedding down in the same spot over and over again.
I think so. I think this group here stays year round. The one that's showing up here around the house, or the couple, I don't know if they're part of that group or it could be another group, because I don't know. I know there's some in the Hollands, which is 12 miles away. I know those are on the hunting club. I know these are right here around my house, but also I know where all the other sightings are that I've been given to over the years, taking reports. And, it's like little blotches. So, some people could say, well, that's maybe the same ones, and people maybe coming through. But yeah, I can turn around and go right to the club tonight. Might get a vocal, might get a tree knock, might get anything. So it makes you wonder, The
one time I was at your club, I'm pretty positive something. Squirrel was trying to get on for a minute. I'm pretty positive that you had stuff right there where we were camping. Look at her.
Hey, y'all.
Where you been?
I was waiting on you. I didn't want to cut nobody else off. I didn't care if I interrupted you talking. No, I had to come on. Somebody's got to get you in line, because you ain't going to talk Dogman. I had to meet Mark's son. So
yeah.
He didn't talk Dogman. He was talking Wendigo. I was willing to listen to that.
I know. I wanted to hear that too. That's what I was down wanting to listen to.
I felt like we was herding drunk ducks with a rattlesnake.
No, y'all was doing great.
Well, Mark, let me ask you something right quick. Do you kind of feel like I do here, dealing with what I've dealt with? Because I've been to your hunt club, I've been to your house, and it's not far. I mean, you're just a little within probably a mile further away from your hunting club to your house than I am to where I hunt and my cabin. if you kind of put it together that the boogers that you've dealt with, that apparently you're kind of like me. You've had a lot of encounters, and kind of these things kind of they know Mark Green. They know your truck. They know what you look like. Yep. And by them roaming around, they've probably put it together. Well, there's that truck that Mark Green he's in, and they've probably seen you at your house, and they've put it together that that's where the guy that comes over here lives, and he's cool. He's cool with us. And they've kind of let themselves be known that, hey, we're coming to your place, not in a mean way, but they're letting you know that they're around. I mean, that's to me, that's what I have right here. I mean, do you kind of feel that way?
Yeah, because the other last two places I lived up, they showed up there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Every time I moved, I stayed within a couple of miles of the hunting club. And they're pleased to come to me through woods. They did have to cross a major highway, but like I tell everybody, there's drain pipes under the main highway that I could walk through standing up.
Yeah.
You know, they could easily use and we have found tracks in them before. So when we went and checked them out years ago, I hadn't went and checked none of them out in a while, but we did find where something, barefooted was using them. I mean, more likely that's what it was, but I think they figure you out, maybe even put a mark on you. How they put a mark on you, I have no idea, but I think they know who you are. I think they get used to you. They figure out that you're not really a threat.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, Mark. I think that's exactly right. I think they know a hunter, or they know somebody that's got ill intentions compared to somebody that's like us. We're not trying to shoot one or whatever. We're just trying to, collect evidence. And I think that makes a huge difference. I think they can really, really sense that. I agree on that completely.
They can see the expression on her face. They probably can feel just like we do. They probably can feel a vibe. I mean, it's just like us. You can get around another person and be getting a vibe off of them, like, man, I need to get away from this person. Something is not right about this person.
That's right.
Or we be around somebody and just feel, man, this is a joyful, sweet person, and not even talk to them yet, but you can just get the vibe, so.
Well, and animals, which in my opinion, boogers are not animals. In my opinion, they're some kind of person, clan, troop, whatever, but they're not animals.
Okay.
But animals, even, I mean, if you're talking about just like, a loose dog, wild dogs, right? If you're not mean to them, if you're not shooing them and shooting at them and all that kind of stuff, if you go, hey, pooch, like that lady, come over here.
Yeah.
And everything. I mean, they're going to come back. They're not threatened in that spot, much less if you feed them. Right. The whole question is, are they going to stay there with you? Is that an area that they move through from time to time? And if they move through it from time to time, are they going to stop and say hello? That's what I think happens with Greg. I think they know Greg, keep an eye on Greg, and I think they are in the land that borders Greg's land. And I think whenever they see Greg, they're like, hey, Greg, with a whoop and a whistle or a smack on the house, whatever.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation.
The way things happen here with me or with us, me and my family and friends that's here, I really believe, and anybody that's listened to some of the podcasts where I talked about the one that came out and charged Alan, then followed him out. And his buddy was with us that thing was belligerent.
Right.
It was having a fit. And then when I whooped, I whooped as loud and long as I could, just WHOOP, raised my head back and just whoop. And it was like throwing a light switch. That thing shut up right then. It was like you had a mute button. And it just stood there. It got quiet for 3, 4, 5 seconds, I guess. Just a few seconds. And that thing it let out a big, like a huff grunt, and it sounded like somebody that was wanting you to do something, and you said, nope, I ain't doing it. Just like they were disgusted. Anyway, like, it's like disgust. Just, ugh. And then it stood there for just a second, and that thing turned around and walked as dead away from us as it could. And it went out there and it stopped, maybe 100 yards, and it stood there for a minute, and then it just started back walking, and that thing went as straight away from us as it could. And from that day forth, we quit having the bluff charge, and we quit having belligerent encounters.
But because you called their bluff, because you said, "Hey, I know what the deal is. I'm still not shooting at you or whatnot."
I think that's a lot of it. I mean, even though I've had to, I felt like I had the need because I was fixing to get something really bad happen to me, where I've done draw the rifle down and I'm looking over the scope thinking I'm fixing to be the dude that's fixing to have to try to put one of these in its head. It's going to be me or it, because these things, y'all, I'm telling you, it's all fun and games till you're the guy in the woods by yourself and you got something sounds like it's breaking trees, big around as this Coke can, and it's stomping and throwing a fit and huffing and grunting and growling, and I mean screaming and roaring, and it's just came running through a thicket 150 yards, plowing, tearing timber apart, and you're like, oh my God, I'm about to die. But I never pulled the trigger. Not one time have I ever let a round loose going that way. But I'm defending myself, and I would get out of there. I would work my way out. I never tried to harm one. And even Alan, my dad, we never fired not one shot. We were, I guess, in a defense mode instead of an offense. We never went into an offense mode. And it was like, once I let these things know, it's kind of like I told him, hey, I know what you are. You're not going to make me leave. The gig's up. We know. And y'all, I'm not kidding you. The whole aspect was like unplug it, turned over, and plug it back in. It was a 180. Now we're still having I can't tell you that the encounters didn't increase, but it was whoops and whistles and tree knocks and all kind of, them coming around, following us out. But the bad encounters, y'all, they just stopped. And I believe that it's what it made me. Have I ever just said to stop? Oh, Joe, I don't think I've ever just said to stop. Now, when that one was having, they come in there and was throwing stuff at the shooting house and having a fit. And that's the one where I got down, and I'm not kidding y'all. I thought I was fixing to get got. I thought I'm fixing to come up gone. But that's when I rebuked that one in the name of the Lord. And that time, I rebuked it in the name of the Lord. And y'all, whatever it was gone. It left. I'm talking about the creepy fields even left. Everything was done.
Stop. We're going down a whole different. That's like a 3-hour show on itself.
Yeah, we'll get into that again. All right.
Hold on. But I do want everybody to look at this, because this is what we were just talking about a minute ago. Eric said, I don't think they deplete their food sources. They take from an area and move on. I agree.
Yeah.
Of course, that's like natural proceeding for any wild animal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I want people to chime in on is, they don't deplete from the area. So let's say, again, think of a mountaintop, and let's say that they've got like a family unit right there on the mountaintop. That's their area. They got markers around it saying, hey, this is my territory, right? If they're moving around that area, gathering food throughout the season as food becomes available. So at certain times of year, you have mushrooms. Certain times of year, you have berries, and the apples and the pears pop out. Certain times of year, you have like the farmers are raising like winter crops with cabbage and broccoli and, kohlrabi and all that kind of stuff, right? Are they moving though? So if they stay here, are they leaving there and moving here, or are they staying here and venturing out to here, coming back, venturing out to here, coming back, venturing out to here, coming back? Because if we can come up with proof, like, for example, that they stay on Mark Green's Hunt Club, that they actually live there, Maybe they venture out to different areas, to all the farming community that's all around that hunt club and everything. But if their bedding area, if their main home is right there, if we can figure that piece of the puzzle out some way, shape, or form, we can get them. We have a much higher percentage of getting real evidence if we can figure that out. Because, for example, if they are staying on Mark Green's hunt club as their main area. Right, I agree, Miss Pam. But if they're staying on Mark Green's and they're venturing out, if they go to Mark Green's home a few miles away and they eat his watermelons, then they go back. Then a week later, they go on the complete opposite 180 direction away and that person's corn that's growing up. Lord knows they got an abundance of animals to pick from most of the year and everything. But you would be able to find pinch points where they are liable to travel through. Mark was just talking about the culverts under the road that they have seen tracks in. If you knew the time of year that they were using those culverts, are they using that because they're going to Mark Green's house because the watermelon are ready? If you knew that, you would greatly narrow down your field for like interaction and for gathering evidence on them. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's a big thing not to just say that they move around. Yeah, they move around. But are they moving around as the whole unit? Are they leaving some of them at a main location and branching out and going out? If they move around like that, are they always taking waterways whenever they move? We need to know these kind of things. We need more people sharing in the discussion and actually giving real evidence. We need more people to stop being so secretive about all the stuff that they find and they document. And we need more people to start opening up to saying, hey, that noise that I heard, maybe that was them, hypothetically. Instead of, here's part of the thing that I'm leading into with this. Whenever somebody posts anything on Facebook or YouTube, and I'm the first one to be skeptical about it, I'm not saying that I'm not. But we have to stop just immediately bashing somebody because they don't have the next Patterson-Gimlin film. If somebody puts on there, hey, I thought I heard a branch break or whatnot, a lot of people in the Bigfoot community are like, so what? Branch breaks all the time. The wind does that and everything. Well, okay, hold on. Person that had a branch break, though. Are you growing a garden right now? Did crop just come in? Do you have other sightings around you? Is there a main area right there where they might be staying? And maybe what you heard was a legitimate branch break? All I'm saying is we need to stop the bashing, listen more, and if we can concentrate and narrow down one or two pieces of the puzzle, like, do they stay in one area and just kind of branch out and go around it like a wagon wheel? Or do they actually pick up and move around? Because Eric and Kane got them where they kind of pick up and move around in a circular pattern and come back to the same areas, after a set period of time.
Yeah. I never did ask him how big of a loop did they think these things was making? 10 miles, 100 miles, 50 miles? I
thought they said that the whole radius was about 45 or 50 miles.
Yeah. Well,
but again,
it could depend on the amount of game, the amount of food. It could depend on the amount of how many boogers is in that troop. I mean, if you got a troop that's got 4 versus one that had 15,
100%.
The 4-person troop ain't going to deplete stuff as fast. So
100%.
Yeah, it can depend on what the population of that wad is. But before I get derailed, I thought of this a while ago, was going to ask it, and then my one-track mind went down that mine tunnel that dead ended. Oh, all right, look, talking about the structure.
Hey, Jeff.
Talking about the structures and the markers. All right, think of this. I'm not convinced that the markers are put up there for as much as like to warn people, human beings, to stay out. Here's our marker. Here's the thing. What if some of the areas where you've got a group of boogers, they don't have any interaction with other boogers? Let's say you got one wide in an area that they've branched off and they've made it here, and that's their home base. What if they don't need markers? What if they're not interacting with any other boogers? You may have a wad of boogers with no markers or very few markers. I think the more markers you're finding means that there's a higher concentration of boogers, not just for the simple fact that they ain't got crap to do except sit here and put sticks together, that they've got more boogers encroaching on them, and maybe they're not in a battle, but they've got competition for their area, and they're telling more other boogers, look, this is ours, stay away. And, you know, that's, I don't think it's for basically to warn humans to stay out. I think it's just mainly for other boogers to see.
Well, we've definitely heard other people. I've personally heard Kumbo say in interviews that, you know, a lot of the markers will be on the outer edges of their territories, their prospective territories.
Yeah.
Kane and Eric have definitely commented on directional markers, which are a specific thing. So if we break the tree manipulations down into different categories, where some of them are on the edges of their territory, are possibly territorial. Some of them are directional for the rest of the troop to follow behind, possibly, or to point towards, you know, human shelters, food sources, all that kind of stuff. Some of them, I'm going to tell you now, some of the glyphs, if you call them glyphs, some of the stuff I've seen laying on the ground, that there is no way that the wind blew. I'm not talking 1, 2. I don't think there's any way for me to pull it up on the computer since I don't already have it preloaded.
Well, while you're looking, I got to tell you, I know this is not my show to be telling stories, but
it ain't your show ever anyway.
With you know, I do what I want on here, so it don't matter.
Let him have it.
But you know, all the what you're talking about, it for the last probably 2 months, we go to a place that we know we have, you know, a pretty good activity. We've not had nothing. I mean, there's just not really been anything going on. But most of y'all know that I forage, mushroom hunt, and do all that. So you automatically, when you're out in the woods, you're looking for stuff, you know. There's no blackberries. There's reishi on the trees right now. But as far as any chicken of the woods or anything like that that's edible, I mean, there's not a whole lot of just foraging stuff that's out in our area.
Right.
It was so quiet, y'all, while we were camping this weekend. It was just unbelievable. Like, it's never that quiet when we're in the woods. But for the last 2 months, that's the way it's been there. I told Sherry, I don't think there's anything here. So I think they're moving around for the food source. Now, whether they're staying gone or staying there all the time, I can't answer that. But I know from personal experience over what I've seen, as much as we've been out in this area just in the last probably 2 months, we've not got nothing. No responses. There were structures. And this is what's strange also. We were getting activity. Well, the night that we weren't getting anything, the very next time that we went out, when we weren't having anything going on, we thought maybe it was because it was a big group. Well, now I'm wondering, because where we went in, we found 2 or 3 things right together. There was a small structure. There was a couple of really good twist breaks. I'm talking like wrist-sized limbs. Twisted grapevines, and they had actually built an A out of the grapevine that was broke off right there next to it and on the ground over here away from it. Found all that together. Well, we didn't have anything going on that night, but the next time that we went back, we still didn't have anything going on. But JR and I went up during the day a couple weeks later, and walked that area, and it had grew up just a little bit. But even though the grass and stuff had grew up, all the signs were completely gone. Everything that we found, I've never seen it took down and gone, but it wasn't there. It wasn't there, and we actually found a good-sized track across the creek, like walking away from our area. I don't know if that means anything or what, but that's just.
Are you gonna share your pictures that you sent me where they can look at them?
Which pictures?
Your stick structures and
what are we talking about?
The last ones, those are the ones I'm talking about. This area, I don't have them pulled up. I would, but I don't even.
I wasn't gonna bring it up. I was fixing to say that I'd had a good friend sent me some pictures that I was excited about because I thought they were really cool, and we'd try to get them to share it. But since you jumped into that, I'm gonna go ahead and put you on the spot. But y'all, she sent me some stuff that was really cool. She had some structures and had some stick formations on the ground. It was super cool. And like Spencer was talking about, it ain't just a couple of sticks fell out and magically fell this way. No, it's uber cool. Either somebody with some type of savant syndrome had been in the woods putting sticks together or something. But she found some cool structures. She's got a cool picture of a footprint. And I guess that was your boot next to it.
Yeah.
That was great. Oh, yeah.
That was when we went back. That picture was when we actually went back and the structures were all gone. And I'm not saying they weren't there, but I actually had them marked with a glow stick in the area. All the glow sticks was gone except for the one that was hanging right in the way that literally if anybody was going to pick them up and throw them away, they would have got that one, not just the one that I had marking those structures. Cause I always hang them up. I don't know if anybody else does that, but like I'll put glow sticks out far away from us and leave them for them if they get them or come check them out or whatever. And then the next time we go back, I take them down and throw them away. Yeah. That's it. Right. Yeah.
That, did you send Spencer the black mask that I can see the face easy in the picture?
Well, y'all, I think we're actually going to do a show on that. Mark had asked me if I would talk to the other ones that.
This is just so y'all realize that we don't just pretend to be Bigfoot people that talk on a podcast. We actually get our asses in the woods all the time. Those are Misty just found that just a week or two ago.
If you got the one of the little sticks on the ground with a stick sticking up out of the dirt, have you got that one?
But it's too
that
far,
one at night.
it's too far back.
Yeah, it was tiny. It was like I could barely get my hand up underneath it. But it was raised up off the ground and over off the side to where like if I hadn't been looking down watching for snakes, I'd have never seen it. I mean, it was tiny.
And talking about the structure, two things that people should be aware of whenever you actually have seen a lot of this stuff. And I mean, this is just my opinion. Again, take it or leave it. When you've seen a lot of this stuff over and over again, you get a feel for what looks to be legitimate versus, just 2 sticks or 3 sticks landed on the ground because of the wind or whatnot. And you start noticing where you're finding them at, like in certain areas. And, I'll say something. You start noticing what kind of wood they're made out of and like what's happened. Yeah.
Hold on. That's not going to show up worth the flip, is it? I can figure this out.
There it is.
Lean it down just a little. Up, but lean it.
There
it goes. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Oh, there it goes dark. But anyway, it's like 6, 7 little sticks. And it's like one in the middle is stuck in the dirt, right?
No, none of them were stuck in the dirt. They literally all were propped up like a teepee. I had my hand underneath it, and there was nothing it was built from. They were all laid together. And I have to give credit though to Kane and Eric on that one, because the weekend I went out with them, I found that right after. And if we hadn't have been out with them, I'd never even
walked right by.
walked right past it.
It's nearly like, I mean, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 little sticks, and they're all like pivoting all in the middle. It's nearly like somebody was horrible at trying to start a campfire or something. I mean,
but that's the thing where it was. There's no way nobody would have ever tried to start a fire out there.
No, I mean, you can tell. I mean, the leaves aren't raked back, and there's no leaves on any of these sticks. So I'm thinking it ain't been there.
Oh, there's no leaves on any of the sticks, and both ends of the sticks are broken.
That's what I was fixing to say. They're snapped.
And that was where, when we found that, I told everybody, I said, just stop. It was me, my sister, and her fiance, and we were just walking. And I was like, stop, don't move, look around. Don't step anywhere, see if there's anything else anywhere else. Across from it, there was an A on the ground, way, just almost pretty much straight across from it, that they had twisted it was 2 sticks that had been just on the ground. You could tell they kind of moved stuff around. But the grapevine that had been broken, that was the exact same piece of grapevine that they had used to mark the A with across it.
Possibly.
No, it was the same grapevine. I don't know if somebody done it. I'm not saying who did it, but I'm telling you, 100% that was it. It was a fresh break. I mean, I know how to track pretty decent. I'm telling you, that was the same piece of grapevine.
How far was it from it, Misty?
Probably 12, 15 feet.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Wow.
So, but the grapevine was to the right of it, up like probably 3 feet away. The little structure was across the road from it, about 12, 15 foot away.
Huh.
So,
I'm not
sorry, y'all, for hijacking your show. I just
I'm proud of you coming out and telling everybody, because look, it's hard, even though you're seeing it and you've put it together, that they didn't nobody just bottle ass down through the weeds and just get down here being bored and stack sticks together. I mean, there ain't no human being done that. And and it's hard once you find something, you have an encounter. It's hard to it makes you feel uncomfortable at best to share with people, because there's always, even as much as I've had, and I guarantee as much as Mark Green's had, when you start out to tell somebody, there's still that little voice in the back of your head going, "They ain't gonna believe this crap. Ain't no way." and it does. I mean, y'all, as much as I've had to have them, and as much as last few years, I've really started I had to tell somebody. I thought, well, maybe what I tell, it'll help somebody feel confident enough to share with somebody else. Maybe a little piece of information that I'm sharing will reach that person that ain't got nobody to talk to.
That picture that you was talking about, the one that you asked about that looked like it had the face in it.
Yeah.
Mark, I think I emailed you that picture, and I had so much going on. I don't know if I've even messaged you and told you or not, but I think I did send it to you. But after I sent it to everybody, Mark Newble actually asked me about us coming on and talking about that. So it won't be this Thursday, but Thursday after this coming one, we're going to, because he's wanting to talk about how we actually went back and, tried to recreate all of it. I mean, and that's something else we do, y'all. We don't just find stuff and say, hey, this is this. We all try to go back, every one of us, and recheck stuff through the day, recheck it at night, replay it, redo whatever you can, and try to debunk it. We're not like everything is Bigfoot, y'all. I mean, I'm as big a skeptic still as they come, because I personally have not seen one. I've seen a lot of stuff I can't explain, but until I actually see it, I believe everybody that tells me their stories, especially these guys right here. But I'm still skeptical. But now I've seen some stuff that I can't explain. And just like the picture that I'm talking about, a scent picture is hard to see anything in. It's, the pixels all change and it's different. But I'd waited a long time before I even showed this to anybody. And it's actually a pretty decent picture.
When she sent it to me, she said that I've got a blob squatch, and I'm like, no, it's
that's what JR keeps telling me.
To me, I looked at it and I was like, no, look, I can see this. I can see that. Here's this.
Yeah.
Got this on the bottom. Look, she's got, it's not like somebody took a picture of a black garbage bag blowing through the weeds and they're in the car going 80 mile an hour. It ain't like those.
When I checked it with the Google Lens, the first thing that it pulled up as a match was a picture of Patty as a match.
Ain't that cool?
But the main thing is you don't just present it and say, here, I got a picture of Bigfoot. Here, there's a picture of Bigfoot. She didn't even post it. She sent it to a lot of people that she knows and said, what do y'all think about that? And I think if you're being responsible in this field, that's what you do. You want other people's opinions and to weigh in on it and everything. And even then, most everybody told her. I was the one that said, well, it's a picture and you can't really, did you go back out there and take another picture of it at a different time of day and everything? But even then, even if you did, she still didn't post it after that. That just speaks to her credibility for actually trying to wade through all the weeds and make sure it is what she thinks it is. But you're never going to convince other people with pictures. You're never going to convince.
I still didn't post it. I mean, I wasn't even going to do a show. I didn't even, we didn't even do this for our show. Mark literally asked me to do this. I mean, that's the only reason I'm even going to do it now.
I may or may not have kind of poked and prodded Mark about, hey, look, you need to get Misty on there. What do you think? And he's like, yeah. I said, because, man, look, I mean, and I told Mark, I said, look, she's like really apprehensive about even sharing it with us. I mean, I could tell you were, you didn't really want to. You were afraid what we were saying.
You can't. That's the thing. I mean, you cannot post a picture, even if 100% you've got a legit picture. If it was standing 10 foot in front of me, somebody would say, you're lying. That's somebody in a suit and you're full of shit.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures on people's phones that are clear as you could ever want to see, and they do not post them online. And they don't post them online because it's not worth it and it's not going to prove anything. I wish they would let me have a copy of them. I ain't going to lie, but I understand why they don't. I'm not going to ask. But yeah. I've seen pictures from people that are not really known in the Bigfoot world, just individuals that have managed to get a really good picture. And some of the stuff is so impressive that there's no doubt whatever they took a picture of, that's not pareidolia. That's not it's clear it's a booger. The only question is, do you trust the individual? And I'm going to tell you right now, some of the pictures that I'm talking about, I know the people and I damn sure trust them. And Greg has probably seen it because he knows one of the guys that's got a couple pictures on his phone that is super, super impressive and everything. I'm just trying to make the point that people do have a lot of stuff that they don't post. Just like what we were talking about earlier, for every one dot that you see on those maps, there are probably 20 others where nobody says anything because they don't want to be ridiculed or they don't want to have their name associated with it or whatnot. But there are people out there that have some pretty good pictures. They're few and far between, but they are out there.
Well, just look at the Patterson. We'll go back to Patterson-Gimlin. Look how good of a video that is. Look how good it is, and people still refuse to agree with that. That's real. And guys, I'll play this fact all day long. You couldn't, even right now, the best makeup artist in Hollywood, and where everybody knows that Hollywood is the master of movie making. Hollywood can't make a movie that looks as real as Patterson-Gimlin in 2023. Back up to 1967.
Yeah.
Look what they were working with in 67. What was it?
Right
there, nearly at the same time was the Planet of the Apes movie, and look how cheesy and just goofy. I mean, even by our standards now. Well, here we are this far ahead, and even a pretty high expense made movie now. It can't touch Patterson-Gimlin. Can't touch it. Listen to some of the guys that work in Hollywood on this big movie stuff. The guys that their profession, some of the best people in the world doing suits and costumes. They'll tell you that look at the Patterson-Gimlin. They're like, that's not a suit. I mean, that people still try to debunk it right now and won't believe it. So what's a picture going to do now? I mean,
and I'm one of them. I'm guilty of all. I mean, not that I mean to do it and be judgy over anything, but it's like, it's so elusive. It's like when you see, I mean, you hear people's stories and it's like, you can't help but to believe somebody that is so truthful and honest.
Yeah.
I would never discredit anything you guys say. I mean, I would believe
especially when you meet them in person and you actually get to know the individuals.
But just seeing a picture, even I mean, I'm the same way with my own stuff. It ain't that I just do it to everybody, but you can't help it. I mean, it's like you're like, golly, how you know, it's got to be fake. It's got to be, because you just don't never see anything that good anywhere, you know. And then when you do, like, you know, the Patty picture or whatever, it's, I don't know. I am a skeptic, y'all. I can't help it.
Another thing for me, and I mean, I agree 3,000% with what Bama just posted. But here's the thing. The Patterson-Gimlin. I mean, I know y'all have all heard me talk about the one that I saw run across the road. The sunlight was hitting it daytime. And I talk about how it was jet black, just inky black, and it was shiny. And I said it looked near like it was camouflaged because when the light was hitting it, I could see the color like changing because I could see the muscles. Look at the Patterson-Gimlin. Watch that video, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You'll see exactly, because as it moves, you'll see it looks like it changes colors. And that's exactly what that is where the light's hitting it, and the skin or the skin/hair, whatever you're seeing on it, is it moves, it's making the light hit it in a different direction, and it's giving it like a sheen or a reflection off of it. And it, honest to God, it looks like it's kind of changing colors. And,
well, Greg, look at the picture I sent you. It literally, if you didn't know no better, you can pretty much look at this thing and see a gray beard. Mm-hmm. You can see it. I mean, it's almost, you can just look at it and be like, oh, that looks like an older male with gray facial hair. It's really strange.
Well, to me, I can see the hairline. I can see the eyes really great. And it's like you can see the brows, the eyes,
cheekbones,
the mouth, the nose, and
it's got a gray beard.
It looks like Native American to me. It looks like the cheekbones are high, and it looks like a gray beard. And as I was calling this off, Misty's going, yeah.
Only 11 thumbs up. Come on, y'all. Somebody click off chat for a minute and just hit the thumbs up if you would, please. Hey, I don't blame them for not liking up. Well, we probably got. I was getting ready to say, we got all 11 of the likes after Misty got on.
No, I believe that's probably more than that before I come on here.
Hey, I'll say this though. Think about this. Number one, you should probably be running video all the time instead of taking pictures. Like on the iPhones, whenever you run video, you have the option to still hit the little button and take a picture while you're doing the video. But a video would at least allow you to see the change in light if anything moves or whatnot. Number two, MK Davis has done a phenomenal job highlighting the different things in the PG film. That's what got me started into this whole thing. The one video where he's showing the trapezius muscle and the scapula moving and the bulge on its right thigh moving in and out. The PG film, in my opinion, if you don't think that the PG film is legitimate, you're just not open to looking at this subject. You're just simply whitewashing the whole thing, going, no, it's fake. I don't want to even do any critical thinking on this subject, because the PG film, in my opinion, if you don't think that is a real creature, not a person in a costume, I don't know what to tell you to take you to the next step on that. Having said that, like a couple of the other people commented, first of all, you're not going to convince a skeptic, period. No matter what evidence, unless you have a body, you're not going to convince a skeptic. That's why on this show, we're not worried about people trying to prove that Bigfoot exists. If you're watching this, you're one of the people that has a very high appreciation for, you believe that they probably do exist, and you're here listening to the people that we think are credible talking about their experiences and trying to learn something from them. And that right there is the key to a lot of this stuff, is getting more and more people that have had legitimate experiences to put it all out there so we can weigh through all of the details and try to compare and contrast and find some kind of like bulk information to form the basis of our thought process on this subject. What are they doing? You know, did it drain your batteries? Well, it drained my batteries. Oh, it drained this dude's batteries too. Is there something going on with that? You know, are they leaving glyphs? Did you see a glyph? Did you put up a game camera and then you saw something on the ground a week later back in behind that game camera? Because other people have. Okay. Whenever you start getting stuff like that, you really are collecting a database of information that you can start to work with. You know what I'm saying?
Spencer, what's cool to me is the people that'll watch episodes like, or podcasts like what we are here. They'll get introduced into it, just scrolling the internet or something like that, and they'll want to make fun of people like us. Well, the ones that crack me up are the ones that they don't have something to do, or maybe they want to, I'm going to make these folks look stupid. I'm going to research it. And what's so funny is the ones that the deeper they dive into it, that's the ones that finally figure out it's like, oh crap, there's more to this. And instead of them debunking it, they created all these other questions, and then they get to where they can't get enough of it. They can't, and it starts, the harder they try to discredit it, the more evidence they're finding. And then they finally get to that point to where at least they'll figure out that, okay, well, there's really something to this. They don't have the opportunity that I've had, Mark Green's had,
right?
Actually see one and then be living in an area where these things are, to where we've had all these encounters.
So,
but they basically wind up convincing themselves total opposite of where they started at.
All it takes is that one time, folks. If I could tell you one thing on this subject, I would say something along the lines of this. It takes that one time to be in the right spot at the right time to have something pop off. When you have it happen, where stuff gets thrown at you, branches get broke, trees get pushed over, something vocalizes right there at you. On the vocalizing, the recordings that we show on YouTube videos, you can look at a lot of Bigfoot YouTube podcasts and you will see recordings of videos. I promise you, it is no comparison to when you are there firsthand in real life. The very first time you're walking through the woods in the right area at the right time, and you do look down and see a track, you're going to do what every single person does. You're going to try to take a picture of it with your phone or camera, and it's going to be a really crappy picture that you're not going to be able to see the detail that you can when you're standing right there looking at the thing. But it will leave you with the understanding of, holy cow, I know in my gut now that that's real, whether you see one or not. Now, I'll go one step further and say a lot of people that watch the podcast, to the people, especially the ones that are just lurkers and don't comment or anything, and I don't blame you on that. This is a subject that's hard to wrap your mind around when you've had no experience in it. If you've never experienced any of this kind of stuff, it's very easy to just go, all of these people, maybe I believe them, but maybe they just misinterpreted all their stuff. It's very easy to do that when you've never had any real experience. So to take it one step further, here, I will tell you something. If you go to national parks or state parks that are sizable amount of land with water running through them, and especially if you go with people that have done this before, because all my stuff is because other people were generous enough to take me with them to the right place at the right time. You two kind of stumbled into it on your own. But if you will go to national parks, wildlife management areas, state parks that have rivers, large creeks of fresh water running through them, if you will go there and just spend time out there, and here's the hard part, most of the time it really needs to be at night. Most of the time, I'm not saying stuff doesn't happen during the day. It definitely does. But at night, for whatever reason, it's almost like they are more comfortable coming up to you, at least in my experience, or approaching you or whatnot. But if you will go out there in very small groups, 2, 3 people or whatnot, chances are good that if you go out there continuously all throughout one year, hitting all the seasons, because it's very hard to determine when they are in those certain areas. You could have the right area, but just be off on the time of year. I've seen that happen a lot. If you go to LBL, I'll tell you firsthand, you've already heard us talk about LBL 100 times. LBL, if you want a high probability of hearing a booger, of seeing stick manipulation, of finding tracks, go to LBL. Go to LBL in the fall. Daniel Boone National Forest. Go there in the fall. Apparently, in Alabama, there's a lot of stuff that pops off in the spring and summer. I didn't know that, was completely unaware of that, but it's shaping up to look that way.
Oh, yeah.
But if you go out, and it is very difficult, I admit, it's difficult to gain people's trust and for them to let you in and take you to some of these spots where they have activity. But there's a reason for that. The Bigfoot subject has become so flooded with hoaxing and, just people doing all kinds of shady shit where they're trying to be popular on Facebook or YouTube for a minute. That whole 30 seconds of fame or whatnot. But like all four,
the rest of us that are actually trying to get out and do something, because it makes everybody look bad because you got a few bad apples that want to spoil the whole bunch.
I had to take up for somebody on Facebook this week. Y'all have probably seen anybody that pays attention to all the Facebook pages, the pictures of the face looking over the fence. That's all I'm going to say. Not going to name any names. But if you saw that, in my opinion, that's completely fake, in my opinion. But I myself took a copy of that picture and tried to do a reverse image search. I looked for masks that you could buy online that it could have possibly been used. I couldn't find it. I still think that it's fake. But until I can show you that, hey, here's the mask, this person ordered it off Amazon, this is it, that thing is fake. Until I can do that, I am not going to be the one that steps out and says, oh, no, that's fake, that's BS. That is up for y'all. I assume that most everybody has a high enough degree of common sense and intelligence about them that they can come to their own determination on stuff like that. Well, I'm telling you, the same people, there are areas I could take you to that if you do a call at a certain time of year, the reply that you will get back vocally, if you are standing with me there in that spot, you do not go, oh, well, that's just a coyote, or, oh, that's just a bobcat. When we are out walking as a group and we are 1.5 miles in the middle of the woods going up and down and over ridges and we find the tracks, there ain't a single person that's there with us that goes, oh, that's fake. We just walked up on it. All we do is take some pictures and try to put it out there and present it. If you believe it or not, that's up to you. But I can promise you, if you do this for real and get your butt out in the woods, chances are good in certain areas you're going to have some kind of experience. And all it takes is that one time for you to start going, oh, okay, all right, there's something to this.
Yep.
And the further you get in this subject, the weirder and weirder and weirder
That's the truth.
it gets.
Yeah.
You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding.
Weird.
So,
Yeah, they just think a lot of these people that just got into it or may have been into it for a little while, but never researched, never seen nothing on their own. They want to discount that we're seeing just a big giant animal.
yeah, and most of us are hunters. And I'm not saying that we're any better than anybody else out in the woods at all, by no means. But when you hunt, you know, you can pretty much track certain animals that are in your area.
Yeah.
You know the difference between a hog track and a deer track. And
I'd like to hear about that.
That's kind of what I was going to say, Spencer.
and just the same way with the bear. You can look at a bear track. If it's been a double step track, you can tell if you're a hunter and you track these things. But when you get out and you're seeing a 16, 18 inch boot print or footprint, that they ain't no way. I don't care if somebody's got, a size 15, 16 shoe. It ain't even going to make it that wide. I mean, it's
Not to mention how deep it is.
what a normal foot would be. And sunk into the ground in a spot that's almost like concrete, but you ain't got no archway in it like you would have if it was a double step track or whatever. It's not.
Right.
You can feel the difference. You ain't got the boot prints or whatever, and it ain't. If it's that heavy to make that indention in your track, you ought to still see boot prints whether it's been washed out or not.
You're
And
right.
if you track stuff, then you're going to know by looking at it that it's an old track anyways. Whether it's a boot print or whatever, you're going to say, oh, that's been rained in several times, or that's been laying here and got full of leaves, or the wind just blew that in there, but it's still a fresh track. It's
Yeah.
You learn these things the more you're in the woods, and you don't have to be a hunter or nobody to get out and do this kind of stuff. Just do your research, and don't just take everything as something when it could be just natural.
Well,
Actually research the stuff. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. Just don't fake it. People just be honest about the stuff that you find.
what Billy Schilling just put up there about getting screamed out. Y'all, look, have one of these things right on top of you. I'm talking about like within less than 100 feet, and it screams, and it feels like you stepped out of a doorway into a 40-mile-an-hour wind gust, like the sound hits you and it vibrates, like resonates completely through you, and it's louder than a police or a ambulance or a fire truck siren. It actually hurts your ears to the point of causing pain. It's so loud. There's y'all, it's not supposed to be anything, especially in North America, that can make a sound that violent and that loud. How do you put, that's not somebody that snuck out there with, big giant rock concert speakers and magically put them in the woods out here, and it's breaking trees and jerking trees back and forth, and you're watching the trees sway. No, ain't happened. But look, we got to, y'all, look, Red Creek.
We'll be through.
You're gonna have to PM me, Spencer, somebody. I've got to hear the
Email.
Yes. You've done piqued my interest. I mean, I want to hear about this because look, I know what it's like to think that you're not going to make it out of the woods. That you think you're fixing to be the guy that's going to get snatched, tore apart, that you're about to die. I've been there more than once. I know what that's like. I mean, hey, look, message us. You call me. I want to hear it.
Anybody.
Don't everybody go out by yourselves, people. I mean, even whether you're worried about getting got by a Bigfoot or whatever, it just ain't safe. I mean, it's people really you got to worry about more than anything, but just don't be alone. Take plenty of lights with you when you do it. But Mark, I want to talk some Dogman later, whether we do it on here or whatever, because I missed what was going on. But I know that you had been talking to some people about some stuff, and I want to hear about them.
Yeah,
whether Spencer wants to do it or not. We're going to talk about it.
yeah. Red Creek done put another one up there. I mean, y'all,
Yeah, so
dude, I'm the very last person on the planet that will ever give you any grief about anything you want to talk about.
that's right.
I've been there. I know what that's like. I know exactly what that's like.
And
that'll make you question your sanity, and it'll make you really, really question whether you're done hunting or not.
And
it'll make you think I may not never go back in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
yes, vocals can be subtle also. But again, this comes down to, are you paying attention and looking for it? You know, because there's a whole lot of people that, you know, Bigfoot's never going to cross their mind until they actually see one step out in front of them, or it does that yell that rattles their whole skeletal system and everything. So the subtle stuff, that's more for like the people like you, Joe, that actually do go out and look for them. You're paying attention for that. It all needs to be, everybody always says there needs to be like a central spot that we can compile all this information and compare it. That's probably never going to happen because, you know, a lot of people, you know, they want to keep the details hidden, and I understand why. They want to keep the locations and everything. But the more people like Red Creek Mafia, the more people that, you know, get out and tell their story, the more of an information bank we have to base everything off of and whatnot. So please, I encourage you, even if you don't do a live show, if you find somebody you can trust, just to email or private message them and talk to them, do it, because it's possible you've got some piece of the puzzle that fits perfectly with somebody else.
Spencer, we'll put him on one of our private chats. They won't be recorded. Hey,
and just so all of y'all know, with the StreamYard, we don't have to go live on YouTube. We can talk face to face, just like this, privately. We call it backstage, but we do private chats all the time. I mean, we talk to each other all the time. I talk to Mark, I talk to Greg, I talk to Misty, I talk to Mark Newbill, I talk to everybody. Eric, Kane, you name it. Backstage, we chit chat all the time. We keep this going because we take it serious, and we will not treat anybody cynically. You know, come on, talk to us.
It's like a dang redneck therapy session.
Yeah, it is. How you think we got Greg to come out of his shell?
Shoot, I busted out like a rabid chicken.
All right, y'all. Well, we have gone 2 hours now, which is a pretty good amount of time. Squirrel, thank you for joining us.
Hey, I started not to hijack the show, but I wanted to say hi to everybody. You know,
that they all missed you. They all missed you. Not me so much, but they all did.
Hey, look, I wish. I don't know what you got going on right now, but look, Red Creek done put on there. How do you StreamYard? Also, I love it. Dude, send it to him. I know we're about to go backstage. If he's got a computer, cell phone, whatever, bring him in backstage with us in a minute.
I will. Send me Red Creek. There's my email. Send me your email address. I will send you a link. We'll talk here in just a few minutes. Before we get off here, again, Will Lunsford's book.
Heck
right
yeah.
there. You can order that if you want to. I'm just promoting the people that I like and everything. Sue me.
And he goes out a lot. He goes out a lot and does a lot.
Oh my gosh, Will's out all the time. Joe Pass probably still the Squatching Cowboy. He still probably has some of these shirts. And y'all, these are cool. It's a good design. And these are the lightweight t-shirts, which, you know, I'm a contractor, so I sweat my tail off during the day. I like the really lightweight t-shirts. Oh, you didn't get one?
Show our shirts that Rebecca made. Where's it?
The one that Rebecca sent me is in the laundry. My wife wrote that. I do not have it. I know. I even have Mark Green on here. Mark, you want me to go get one of your coffee cups? You can get coffee cups from Mark Green.
Oh,
how about that?
Hey,
yes.
All I can say, the next meet and eat, Greek, whatever we have, I want some merch there. I'm bringing cash, but dadgum, I ain't got crap from nobody.
I will at the very least, I'll make some Woodwalkers like stickers, and possibly some t-shirts. The hats are expensive. Cups are not that expensive to produce or whatnot. I don't care about the money. I'd sell them for cost. But I do think the Woodwalkers logo is a cool logo, if I do say so myself. But Chris Reinhardt made it. Misty all the time tries to re-manipulate it because she hates Chris Reinhardt.
Chris, if you ever see this, do not listen to him. He is so full of shit.
Chris,
I have to do
your
it.
logo, Chris. She constantly tries to redo your logo with like psychedelic pink, purple bubblegum colors and all kinds of stuff.
That's because it's catchy to the eye. That's why. That you always want me to use the one that he made, and it's fine if it's just like us doing something or whatever. But like, you can't put Spencer's like, leave the picture of us, put our names, put everybody else's picture, put
I didn't
this
say
one,
the pictures of
in
us.
my long thing that explains what we're gonna do,
Chris,
and you can't get all that on there.
Chris Reinhardt did that too. The pictures of us, and every time you try to take it off there, you are detracting from his hard work that he did for our channel.
Hey, it's all your fault. Pictures don't need to be on there. I
didn't ask for it. I'm gonna throw you right under the bus. Chris, she hates you.
Chris, that's a lie. You know what? Apparently he hates you because I'm gonna have to share the videos that he has sent me that he has worked really hard on, by the way.
Misty and Chris make videos of me all the time with my little bobblehead singing and dancing all these stupid songs. And they think it's a great thing. And they send it to me at like 2:00 in the morning because they're assholes.
Yeah. All right. Mark Newbill does it too. Can't forget that.
Mark Newbill. Oh, Mark Newbill is the biggest traitor. He's the one that started the whole damn thing.
He's a translator.
You can't trust nobody. All right. And next week, for everybody paying attention, there's someone in the chat that has never been on a podcast that agreed to do the podcast next week. And if that person backs out next week, not gonna name any names, but his initials are Flat Rock. I'm really gonna get on him about backing out. Don't back out, Flat Rock. You got to come on and talk. Everybody knows who you are. We want to hear your story too.
Tell Flat Rock to tell everybody what the location on that Bigfoot conference and all is. Give them a little more information.
We ain't promoting no Bigfoot conference. Is it Flat Rock's conference? I'll promote that.
Flat Rock just put it on there. Alabama Bigfoot Conference, June 10th or June 9th. I'm sure it's supposed to be 10th, but hope to see y'all there. I mean, I don't even know where it's at.
Where's it at, Flat Rock?
It's too far. Thank you, probably.
Or send me a link and I'll attach it to the video.
That'll be this coming Friday and Saturday. Because the night I got a tattoo appointment in Gunnersville. How far is it from Gunnersville?
I got a tattoo appointment in Gunnersville. How far away is it from that? I base all my decisions off how close it is from my ink shop.
Look, I'm getting added on. I think that's what I'm on. Where my Bigfoot right here, see?
That's cool. That's a cool tat. You're gonna die of ink poisoning, but that's a cool tat.
I done be dead if that ink got you.
He said it's in Anniston, Alabama.
Well, that's on that way. That ain't that far from Gunnersville. I don't know. I ain't really got nothing other than Friday.
That would be great if you could do that.
Well, let's change the wording. Yeah. Put me in contact with that person, but let's not say set me up with them. Bushcraft.
That's what I think. That's what he means, though. He's
all right. All right. After the last backstage bandit comment from last week or whatever, we don't need any more of that. Okay, people. We're gonna bounce off here. We will be back next week. Till then, check out all the people that we like Chris and Mark's channel and Dixie Cryptid. I can't speak. Sawdust Beast, of course, everything like that. I know I'm missing everybody else.
Don't forget Mark.
Bigfoot Lake. And Bushcraft Family, they're actually
Yes.
They're pretty cool. Misty and I did an interview on their channel, but he has a lot of good like homesteading, prepping, kind of stuff like that. But he has a lot of good information. I've been scrolling through his videos.
I like his stories he tells, just like Mark Green. I love Mark Green's fireside chats. I mean, I tell everybody he's just got this storytelling voice, you know what I mean? And and Bushcraft the same way. He tells stories, you know, actual real life stories for his kids and him, so it's documented. And I think that's awesome.
Like on Mark's channel, and if y'all have not seen Cedar Creek Bottoms Farmstead Life,
yes,
they do videos on everything from planting okra to like taking care of like rabbits and everything like that. But then they have the whole other side where they do the fireside chats and the Bigfoot stuff and all that kind of stuff. I'm telling you, it's a win-win. You go over there, you learn a lot. You still got the Bigfoot aspect and everything. Support these people. Even if you just click on the video, hit a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, whatever. But support the people that are actually, you know, trying to bring entertainment and information, all this stuff to you. That's all I'm saying.
You know a lot about a lot of stuff, and if y'all don't see a video on it, message them. They know anything about it, they will try their best to help you all figure it out. So
just don't do what I do and suggest like 5 or 6 things to Becca Green all at one time, because then she does the whole show and then she fusses at me for putting up questions. I was like, I was just trying to help. Like, you could have picked one. You could have picked one. You didn't have to do the whole show. I was just suggesting. Becca, well, Spencer put up all those, so I wanted to read them. No, don't do that, Becca.
She does me the same way. She'll take stuff so serious. I'm like, Rebecca, that's not what I'm thinking or what I do. I'm like, I'm just trying to keep chat going.
Yeah, we're just trying to help
over something. I think it was given like oregano or something, like stuff in your water for your chickens, and she was like, "You don't do that, people."
Other people in chat are like, Misty and Spencer, that's all they talk about. Misty and Spencer, we're just trying to help. You calm down.
I missed. No, y'all had fireside chat last night. Is that right?
No, that was our fire pit night.
Okay, fire pit night. Okay.
Yeah, see, Mark even does a fire pit night. Mark invites other people to his house once a month just to sit around the fire and talk about anything that they want to. Bigfoot, farmsteading, all that kind of stuff, just to keep the whole communal spirit and everything going. That's how nice of a guy Mark Green is. He's way nicer than me.
Yeah.
Well, it's just about building community, no matter if it's Bigfoot, homesteading, or just knowing your neighbors. Maybe dragging your kin folks back out of their houses. After the plague come through, a lot of people shut themselves up. I mean, they just went, hid. And me and Rebecca said, we need to do something to draw people back out some. And it's been a good thing. I mean, sometimes we'll have 5 or 6 people. Last night we had close to 25. So, I mean, so it's just up and down, and which is fine. I mean, because we tell everybody, come and go as you please. You ain't got a certain time you got to be there, and a certain time you leave. You just come when you feel like it, and you ain't got to come eat. Just come, fellowship for a little bit. And I tell you, I've had some people come that's told me, man, this is the first time I've sat around a fire in 30 years. I was like, do what?
Wow.
Or this is the first time I've ever cooked a weenie over a fire with a stick. And I'm
good Lord,
not making fun of them by no means.
That's sheltered there, buddy.
It's just
bad.
They haven't lived, so, and not making fun of them by no means. People can't help what's went on in their life, but it just, I don't know. It just, but I feel real good about it. And it's been successful. It's been successful.
Greg and Mark are from Alabama. I'm from East Tennessee, and Spencer, you're from North Carolina, but live in Virginia, right?
Yep.
Okay.
We're just all over the place. We're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a little group all around everywhere, really, that we communicate with, and I think that's awesome that we can do that.
It is awesome, y'all. I mean, ain't no doubt. Like Martin,
We're-
from West Tennessee,
Yep.
Memphis area.
We're comparing notes from states away, and you'd be surprised how much we have that turns out similar, where we find it over and over again.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, y'all. That's all I got. I'm gonna email this guy and see if we can get him on there. Y'all wait backstage.
He said he may have to go to work. I'm not really sure, but he said he did email you, so check it, y'all. Hang
Yeah,
on.
Guys, I want to just say how proud I am to see our tried and true people that come on here and seem to be interested in hearing old Red Billy like me give my opinion or tell my stories. And guys, appreciate y'all. I mean, our y'all know who you are. Y'all the ones that's always on here and commenting and hitting up live chat. I love, just feel honored to see all these folks on here, and they keep coming back. Apparently we can't make them leave or run them off. So y'all, at least stubborn as hell. So yeah, but guys, no joke. Just love seeing y'all. I know I ain't got the message back on y'all. My one track mind derails if I try to listen and talk and read too. But guys, I'll be talking to most of y'all live chat Thursday night, I'm sure. So just great seeing everybody. And
that's what we do.
Thanks for having me. Great seeing Mark Green, and I'll be backstage.
Yeah.
I'll be backstage with y'all in a minute. But yeah, I always just feel like I missed the boat because I don't thank these people for hanging out with us. There's old Bama. Bama's our buddy. Bama's one of the crew.
If y'all can see that, that's on my phone. Sorry for the glare. That is Tal Bronco, Bill White's book, Southern Bigfoot Files, Alabama. Greg and Mark, both of them, some of their stuff is in that book, and that book is specifically dealing with Alabama. And if you read through that book, that is it's great to get on Kindle. It's only like $5 or something like that. And Tal Bronco goes through so much detail of the time of year, where it was, the weather conditions, everything. That will give you a really good read. I mean, the stories themselves are impressive, but it also gives you an inside perspective as to what it's like to look at, to like concentrate on one state and try to compare a lot of the similarities of the stuff that happens in one state. But it's an absolutely excellent book if you want to check that one out too.
I think Mark Green will agree with me on this. Tal Bronco, Bill White, that man spent way over 50 years researching these things, and he was probably as knowledgeable, hardcore researcher, legitimate researcher as anybody that I've ever even heard of. And not only that, he was just a really fine, honorable man. He was just a very good man. And he's passed on now, but my gosh, he was a wealth of knowledge.
He was a very nice Southern gentleman, and he knew what he was talking about.
Yes, sir.
And I enjoyed all the times I got to spend in the woods with him and on the phone with him. And he was a very good guy. I mean, he even kept up with what was going on in your family. And
yeah,
I mean, one day I got a big box of mail from him. And I got the box. I didn't know what he had sent. And by that time, my phone rang. I mean, it's like he knew the day that the package was going to arrive, Get that box in the mail today? And I said, yes, sir. He said, well, don't open it. Give it to your daughter because it's hers. I said, oh, okay. And so later that day, I went and got him from school, come home, and Mr. Tall sent you this box. And he said, for me not to open it, but let you open it. So she opened it up, and it was a collection of rocks that he took all over the world when he was a security, were all these mines. So this was different rocks from all over the world, and he had their names, their scientific names, what they were used for. I mean, it was a nice set. I mean, this took time to put together. And I asked him, I said, why don't you send that to my daughter for me? Because one day when me and you were on the hunt talking, I watched her go to the creek right there where we was at, and she was picking up every rock, looking at it real good. And he said she'd walk back and forth looking at them rocks. Watched her stick a lot of them in her pocket. I said, oh, yeah, there's rocks all in our house everywhere. He knew she had an interest in rocks, and he said, I wanted her to have rocks from all parts of the world. And, you know, so that meant a lot. It really meant a lot.
Wow.
Man, I got something.
That's all I done all weekend. I stayed in the creek. I brought home a dog bowl full of different rocks.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody cares, Squirrel. We're trying to end the show.
I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to Mark.
Mark don't care. He told me before the show.
Mark cares. Mark cares more about what I got to say with what you got to say. I promise you.
Don't nobody like you now.
But it's true.
Don't nobody like you now because you hate on Chris Reinhardt.
Chris, I love you. Don't listen
Oh
to me.
my gosh.
Whatever.
Bye, everybody.
See y'all.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us, guys.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Swipe and steal.